Welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio, where we bring you conversations with the top business minds on Long Island and around the nation every week. Featuring expert consultants and small business owners who have found success but are also willing to share their top tips, failures, and give gritty, matter-of-fact advice based on their firsthand experience. Now, let's get down to business on Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Hello and welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation. My name is Ray Schwetz, AVP of Business Banking at Jovia Financial Credit Union, along with Donyshia Boston-Hill, CEO, Keeper of the Brand, Marketing and Digital Agency.
We're focused on being the premier resource for business and entrepreneurship. We bring you weekly business advice, tips, tools, and services that help you grow your business. Plus, we interview some of the top business leaders in the industry. And Ray, I'm so excited about the guests you have in store for us today.
Yes, helping provide us with business empowerment is Sarah Miller. She's the Business Development Manager at All Dry USA. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Well, it's great to have you. So why don't we start? Why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
I feel like that's a loaded question. So I'm 27, born and raised in Plainview, New York, here on Long Island. Lived there for 22 years, but currently reside in Copeg with my boyfriend, Francesco, and our puppy, Sadie. As you stated before, Ray, I am the Business Development Manager for All Dry New York, located in Bethpage for the last 3 years now.
That's fantastic. And so, Sarah, tell us what that means. What do you do? What is a day like in your world at All Dry?
So I like to say that I make and maintain the relationships that drive business. So in my industry, we're 24/7 emergency response, handling remediation through reconstruction on commercial and residential properties. Anyone at any moment could experience some sort of loss to their property. And for the most part, people don't really know how to navigate an insurance claim or where they should turn or what they should do. So my day-to-day work would basically be making relationships with people like plumbing and HVAC professionals, property managers, facilities managers, insurance brokers, anyone that could potentially get that call that something has happened on a property and they can help refer us in and guide a property owner through that process. So basically, I'm just making those relationships, I'm meeting with those people, and I'm handing out business to them as well, because of course, people like you and you're helping them, they're going to be more inclined to want to work with you and help you as well.
How'd you get started in a career like that?
So the start of my career started with a personal experience that myself and my family had. As I stated before, I grew up in Plainview for 22 years. So it was a Saturday morning. I woke up one day and my mom's telling me that, the entire basement is completely flooded. A sewage pipe had burst and just sewage was everywhere. My mom was a single mom of 3. Living in that home for 30 years, you can imagine all the toys, the pictures, the memories, and of course, the physical structure that was damaged during such an event. Unfortunately for us, we hired a company that didn't have our best interest at heart and ended up committing insurance fraud and billing for work that they never completed, leaving us kind of high and dry, no pun intended, to figure out how to go about reconstructing our basement again without funds, without the knowledge, and without the connections to do so. So I got into the industry to help property owners protect one of the biggest investments that they have in their life.
Yeah, it's amazing what a personal journey like that, how that affects you, and then how you come to a career like this. Now, there are others in this market. How do you differentiate yourselves from them?
So myself personally, how I differentiate is the fact that I've been in the shoes of the customer as well as the business professional that's going to handle your remediation. So it really kind of eases the mind, the worry, the tension, and everything that goes into trying to figure out what to do in an instance like that, and just allows a property owner to be more at ease and more willing to want to work with me. When it comes to my company as a whole, a differentiating factor for us is the fact that we don't work on behalf of the insurance company. We work on behalf of the insured. So living here in New York, I always give people the example, if you crash your car, are you going to take it to the body shop that your insurance company tells you to take it to? Or are you going to take it to someone that you know and trust is going to do right by you and your vehicle? 9 times out of 10, you're going to take it to your own person that you know and trust. It's the same exact thing with your home or your business, whichever property you have. You have the right, and you should be going ahead and doing your due diligence to hire someone that you know is going to work for you to make sure you're allocated all necessary funds to restore your property. And that's what myself and All Dry USA does.
You must have a lot of personal stories, in addition to your own, of course, of people that you've helped. Is there anybody in mind, like one particular story that really stands out where you say, wow, glad to do what I do. We made a difference here.
Yes, of course. So I actually just last week, I got a call. It was right at after hours time, right around 5 o'clock, if not a little bit after. One of my plumbers calls me up and he says, hey, I'm not sure if this is something that you could do, but my customer's shower door exploded.
Wow.
And yeah, exactly. I was like, okay, that's a new one. My bread and butter is water and sewage and mold. So I was like, okay, let me talk to my supervisor and see, because I'm sure that we can in some way help out. So I called up my supervisor and he said, yes, of course, we can gladly come and help this homeowner. But if I send someone out right now, it's going to cost them more money because of the fact that it's after hours. Is there any chance that we can get in there first thing in the morning? So of course, thinking about the customer's best interest, I immediately call her back. I let her know, listen, we could save you a couple $100 if we come first thing in the morning. Do you have access to another bathroom? That's when she poured her heart out to me, explaining that this is her severely disabled daughter's only bathroom that she has access to. All of her medication, her grab bars, and everything are in there. This bathroom was made for her to be able to utilize it. So I said to her, give me 5 minutes and I will call you right back with an ETA. So I immediately called my supervisor back and made sure that we got someone there within an hour and charged the same amount of money that we would have charged the following morning.
It's stories like that take me back to, people out there that are, really taking advantage of, the innocent. But then there's other stories that you hear like you that are coming to their rescue. So you're like a, living superwoman here that's really just making the life, someone's life and changing their life, because if they're not happy in the home, then, nothing's right in your world.
Exactly. I mean, thank you. I wouldn't call myself a superwoman, but I definitely love what I do because of the aspect of being able to help people when they're in a vulnerable state. Because just like you said, so many people take advantage of the vulnerable and also the uneducated. Not that they're not educated as a whole, but to not be educated on how insurance works, the ins and outs of who you should call, what you should do, what your legal rights are, all of that. People take advantage of it for selfish gain. And it's very sad to see, but I'm happy to be that breath of fresh air for a property owner in need.
Now,
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, tell us a little bit about the misconceptions about your business.
So I would say some common misconceptions are, of course, that everyone within the restoration industry is a crook or out for themselves. Of course, as I explained, myself and my company are not like that. There are a bunch of other companies that operate just like us that actually have the homeowner's best interest in mind. So sometimes I have a closed-minded customer where they're like, no, I don't want to work with a restoration company. You guys are all bad news. But it's really just because of, what they've heard or what maybe they've personally experienced. And it's all about, there's good eggs and there's bad eggs out there. It happens in every single industry. Another common misconception is that myself and my company only handles the remediation on the property. And I see that because of the fact that a lot of my competitors only offer the remediation services. So we don't leave a customer with, a gutted basement, a gutted bathroom, kitchen, whatever it may be, and tell them, hey, figure it out, hire a GC, get it all put back together. We do everything from start to finish. And if there's something you want to do, maybe to redesign a space, we're able to do that for you as well.
You are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Ray Schwetz, along with Donyshia Boston-Hill, and our guest today is Sarah Miller, Business Development Manager at All Dry USA. So, Sarah, you touched on it a little bit. You do the restoration. There's also an expansion of your services, and you do so much more. I know you touched on it, but could you give us a little bit more information?
Of course. So when you experience some sort of, I'll give you an example of like a flood. If you experience a flood, in your basement due to a hot water heater that bursts. Typically, the space not only needs to be dried out, but any affected contents or any affected material like your sheetrock, your moldings, your floor, anything like that needs to be demoed out, properly dried, sanitized, and then of course take moisture levels, make sure that everything is, good to go from there. And after all of that's done, the next phase would be the rest of the reconstruction. The reconstruction is obviously anything that comes out must go back in. In addition to that, just like I said, we're able to redesign a space for you. So All Dry has recently expanded to provide ADU, the All Design Unit. This way, we're able to, even if somebody doesn't have some sort of a loss or something going on at their property, say you just want to add an extension onto your house, or you've always wanted to have a walk-in closet or an ensuite, anything that you can imagine to make your dreams come to life with a redesign of something in your home, we're now able to provide such services.
Making lemonade out of that lemon. I love it.
Exactly.
Now, what are some of the challenges that you faced? I mean, obviously, we've all faced a lot of challenges over the past year, but for you and your business, what are some of the challenges you've faced?
So personally, I wouldn't say that everyone within the restoration world has experienced this, but personally, I have. I would say not being taken seriously because I am a young female in a male-based industry. A lot of times, you guys see me now on the call, the listeners won't be able to see me, but I dress fun, feminine hats, fun colors, very fashionable because I come from a fashion background. So I walk into, a plumbing office or, a construction office or something like that. And people just look at me like, oh, she's just, being used for sales because of her looks or because of her personality. And it's not that at all. I have been doing this for 5 years. I have the personal experience as well as the professional experience. And I continue to learn more and more each year that I'm in this industry. So I think that when people actually sit down and have a conversation with me, they become highly impressed because they don't expect that this, young girl walking into their office is going to be a wealth of such knowledge in an industry like my own.
Well, I love that. And, keep doing that because, I have 3 daughters at home and, for women like you who are out there letting people know, it's not all about just the looks and how you dress and that you're professional. On top of that, there's also this wealth of knowledge that you've developed as an expert in your field. So, keep it up. Make it easier for my daughters out there.
Of course, they can achieve anything they set their mind to. Doesn't matter about any gender barriers that may be out there.
And that's the thing, right? It's not only a boy's world. It's also women who are, not only living in the home, but we're making major decisions about what we're spending in the home. We're controlling the budget. We're also looking at how to renovate or restore our home. So you are like the secret weapon because you come in there and you can, make a woman feel comfortable. You can speak to her one-on-one and you can also relate to some of the things she's going to. No offense, Ray, but that Sarah has that, secret twinkle in her eye to say, I understand you and we're going to make you have a fabulous kitchen again or a fabulous bathroom. And, and that applies across both genders, but it really applies when you can know that you are reaching someone on a one-to-one basis and they know like, oh my gosh, she understands me, she cares about me, and she can help push me forward. And it's not just about picking out the color of the towel, but it's the, the hard, the walls and the, everything else that makes someone go, oh, okay, it's more than just the cosmetics of it all.
I always try whenever I speak to any sort of customer or potential customer, even just someone I'm educating on it, I want to find some sort of common ground and something that we can both relate on. This way it establishes that comfort level and you're more open to working with me and seeing what myself and my team have to offer. As
DB said, you got to definitely, in my household, it's the wife who's the CEO. She's the one who's going to ultimately make that decision. So good on you. Now, what sort of advice would you have? You've been doing this for a little while. Sales is not for the faint of heart, as they say. So what advice would you have for others who are either approaching a sales position or in a sales position, might be struggling? What would you have to say to them?
Well, first and foremost, I always say that a salesperson is born. If you don't have that kind of gift of gab, that personality that attracts people to you and that also attracts you to other people, it's not going to work. So if you find yourself in a sales position, just you're not feeling it, it's probably because you weren't a born salesperson. But other than that, my biggest piece of advice to anyone, but especially within sales, is be authentically you. Because people see through the fake and the false personas that salespeople put on just to make that sale, that if you're yourself from the beginning, that potential customer is going to like you, respect you, and be more inclined to do business with you or refer you to people for business. So I can't emphasize it enough. It shouldn't be just about closing that deal. It should be beyond that sale, establishing a relationship that's going to go far beyond that one sale where you're going to get more and more and more out of it in the end. Agreed.
And you hit on something there. The fact is, when you're genuine, someone told me just shut up and listen. So when you're genuine, you listen to someone because you're truly interested in helping them. That starts off the relationship right. I really feel like then you understand where someone's coming from, what they really need, what they know they need, and what they don't even realize that they need. And then you do business with who you know, who you like, and who you trust.
Exactly.
And so, Sarah, coming across as, an amazing woman that's making strides and breaking down barriers, how do you feel that the pandemic and, business has impacted you over this last year?
So I have to say myself, my company, and our industry as a whole has been very fortunate throughout the pandemic. Not only that we've all been able to stay employed, but we've all been able to stay busy. Of course, everyone's been stuck in their house, and for the most part, property owners don't really service their plumbing and their HVAC, any of those different mechanical systems as often as they should. And now having the entire family home for almost 24 hours a day for about a year, however long it's been for each individual family, it starts to overrun those systems. And that's when people were starting to have some issues where they were in need of our help. So it was kind of like a win-win. We were able to help people through a difficult time during a pandemic that was already difficult enough. Plus, we were able to stay afloat, hire more people, and expand the business even more. So we're very, very fortunate.
And now we spoke previously, and you informed us that although your company wasn't around for Sandy, that you have made impact with disaster relief. Can you tell our audience a little bit about that?
Yeah, so unfortunately, we weren't here in New York during Sandy. So we have 8 locations in 5 states, 2 here in New York, 3 in Florida, 1 in Houston, Texas, 1 in Jacksonville, North Carolina, and 1 in Chicago, Illinois. We set up in those areas this way. If God forbid some sort of tropical storm, natural disaster, anything like that hits anywhere along that area, we are ready to send crews from any of our locations as well as trucks filled with all of the equipment to get boots on the ground. So as I'm sure you guys know, back in February, Houston was hit with that deep freeze that nobody expected. And so many people were left without power, without heat, without homes, because literally their homes or their businesses weren't built to withstand such temperatures and such weather. So they didn't have proper insulation. They didn't have proper piping. Anything like that was not put into their homes because they've never experienced something like this. So I would say within the first 2 or 3 days of that occurring, we had more job signs than we would in an entire hurricane season. And we're still currently pushing to get people back into their homes, up and running, back into their businesses, everything back on their feet in Houston because there was so many people affected. So we are around for any sort of storm or weather related issues that could happen.
And so for you, what's next for you and your team?
What's next for me and my team would definitely just be the continuation of expanding the design and remodel sector of the company. Getting people as educated as they can on who we are, because like I said, we're family owned and operated. So we're fairly small in the eyes of a homeowner who's never heard of us. So it's just educating them on who we are, what we do, as well as the new services that we're offering, and trying to get out there as much as possible to establish the All Dry name so we become a household name, just like some of our competitors that are, franchised out.
Another way that I think that you're doing that effectively, and I'd like you to talk about that a little bit. You and I have talked offline about networking and the power of networking. So can you tell us a little about what you do in that space?
Of course. So I'm a member of a bunch of different networking organizations, some of which are industry focused, some of which are not. A few that I belong to are the PHCC-LI, SCAMP. Both of those are plumbing and HVAC focused. ABA, which is my chapter, is focused on commercial construction in Manhattan as well as Long Island. So that's something that's a little bit more industry focused as well. And then I'm in the Syosset Woodbury Chamber of Commerce, Connects, Rise, and the Unicorn Network. And I spread myself out like that because, like I said, I'm all about education, because what I do for a living is few and far between. It's not every day you're getting a call that someone's house is flooded or that they're having a sewage backup or something like that is occurring. So I get out there to educate people this way, even if it doesn't happen to them, if their neighbor, their friend, their colleague, someone in passing, they hear them talking about it, they know to refer us, and they also know how to properly go about it. So this way that property owner doesn't end up high and dry like myself and my family did. So I really go into these networking groups, not only to educate, but also to establish relationships where I can help others expand their network base. Because like I said earlier, if you help someone, you do something for someone, they're just naturally more inclined to want to help you or work with you. So that's just kind of how I operate.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that's a great way to continue that genuine nature that you have and to continue to be authentic. Now, obviously, working hard, what do you do to kind of decompress? Because that's a lot. What do you do for work-life balance there?
Obviously, during the pandemic, it was a little difficult because, the meeting with people, doing events, things like that was all put on hold. I was rolling out of bed and literally my office was 2 feet away. There was no separation. So I've gotten more and more into cooking. I've always loved to cook, but I have expanded my palate as well as my skill set of what I can cook. And I'm constantly challenging myself to see what I can accomplish in the kitchen. And I love to see the effects that it has on those people that I'm making it for. I love to see their reaction and them truly enjoying it. And also something that I've recently picked up that's a little bit odd is floral arrangements. I've been really interested in making bouquets lately. It's something that's very relaxing to me, as well as it brings color, a breath of fresh air to a space. It just, you don't realize how much having live plants within an indoor space can really change your mental, your physical, all different aspects of your attitude and your livelihood.
No, it means a lot. So I totally see you pivoting and going to Coachella, coming back and telling us you started your own like floral business. So, or, florist with Sarah, so I totally see that. And people really can't see you on the radio, but on video, you are just exuding positivity and an aura of let's do business together. I'm here for you. And, the sun and moons and the stars are all definitely going to align and push you forward into a better place. So
thank you. I appreciate that. I've come from a lot in my past, but I try now to be as positive as possible, because you see how much of an effect it has, not only on yourself, but on the others around you.
Absolutely. And you are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College. My name is Donyshia Boston-Hill, along with Ray Schwetz. And our guest today is Sarah Miller, Business Development Manager at All Dry USA. So
the people that come to you for help, how do you find them, or how do they find you?
That's a good question. So like I said, through my relationships that I build, a lot of my strategic partners are plumbing and HVAC professionals. The reason I do that is because of the fact, if you have some sort of flood or a leak or anything happening with one of those systems in your home, typically the first call you have is your service professional. And for the most part, depending on how long you've been in that home or that business, you have some sort of an established relationship with that service professional, because maybe they've been servicing your home for 10, 15, 20 years. So you trust that if they come in and they say to you, listen, this is something that requires property restoration, you should call up someone like Sarah and All Dry. You'll trust that professional opinion and actually listen to that advice and call us up, because I'm constantly telling them it doesn't hurt to have us come by. It's a completely free inspection with no obligation to sign. And when we get on site, we look at your policy, we look at the damage to the property, and we give you a full write-up of what's wrong, what needs to be done, and how it needs to be done to get the property restored. So that's why I partner with those people, because they're able to get my foot in the door, as well as I'm able to get their foot in their door with a lot of new customers as well. I refer business back to them. And of course, their current customers are going to be so much more happy with them if they help them past just their sale of their repair in helping with a restoration by referring someone like us. So you're going to get customer retention increasing as you're helping your customers more just past that sale of your repair.
Now, if I had to ask you, this is tough because we've covered a lot of ground, but as we're kind of coming to a close, what's the one thing that you'd like to leave our listener with?
Okay, so this quote is in no way mine. Wayne Gretzky once said, "You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take." I am a firm believer in that. I literally act every single day with that in the back of my head. I think I say it 1,000 times each week. It's truly what I believe in my heart, and I practice, because you have nothing to lose in life. So why not go after things that you want or the things that intrigue you? Take that leap of faith. The worst thing that can happen is that you can say that you gave it a shot. Like, there's no harm in that. If anything, it makes you look more honorable, more noble, more inspiring to others, that you actually tried and gave it that you gave it your all to see what could come of it.
Excellent. Yeah, I think those are wise words, and I love that. I love that quote. And how do we find you? Can you give us your contact information?
Of course. So the best way to reach me, of course, there's some sort of emergency, call me. 516-510-4619 is my direct cell. You can call me at any time, any day. I answer that phone no matter what. If it's not an emergency, say you just have a question, some concerns, you want to set up some sort of a call or a meeting with me to learn more, my email address is smiller@alldryny.com, as well as my name, Sarah Miller, on LinkedIn. You could search me that way, connect with me. We can learn about each other's businesses and see how we can help one another.
Excellent. Will do. And thank you so much. Sarah, it's been such a pleasure having you on the show today. Thank you so much for spending your time with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so appreciative to be on today, and I can't wait to see what's in store for all of us moving forward.
Well, Sarah, we know you're a pleasure, and with DB's philosophy, we'll leave you with anything is possible when you have the right people there to support you. Misty Copeland.
We want to thank you for being with us. My name is Ray Schwetz, along with Donyshia Boston-Hill, your co-host and producers. This is an NCC Foundation Business Leaders Council production. Visit ncc.edu/WHPC for more information. We're available on iHeartRadio as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcast, and Spreaker. This has been Tara Talk Business Radio, powered by the National Community College Foundation on the voice of National Community College, 90.3 WHPC.